Hey guys, I have Mr. Nick Kramer from Driven Leads, who is one of the top experts in the real estate industry on pay-per-click advertising, Google advertising. After talking to many, many top agents, asking who's the best in the industry, who are you guys using, Nick just kept coming up over and over and over again. So I've had a good chance to meet with him, talk to him about, what he does, what the difference is. So today, let's dig in with Nick on this topic of pay per click and Google leads and what to do with Google and how to build up your assets. I will put all of his contact information down in the description box, so give him a call, book an appointment with him. So Nick, thanks for jumping on with me and having some fun, and let's just get right to the heart of it, right? So if you're a Sierra client or a Boomtown client or a Sync client or whatever, all of these companies are kind of offering a basic kind of pay-per-click digital advertising in-house service, but you're one of the top pros in the industry. So a lot of people would be wondering, okay, well, why should I use a Nick, Driven Leads versus just kind of the in-house player? So Nick, why don't we start there and let's see where we can go from there.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So right out of the gate, we tell people that we know our solution's not for everybody. I can tell anybody in the real estate industry, if they've got a Boomtown, a Sierra, a Real Geeks, a Chime, there are solutions that are sometimes free, a value add, whether they're charging a couple of bucks here and there for it. And it might be a good solution for people that aren't used to doing online lead gen, that really just want to dip their toes in the water and have couple $100 that they want to just say, hey, I want to try to generate some leads and see what these look and feel like. What I do tell people is those are great solutions to try and test that. Never go directly to Google, because if you go directly to Google, they're going to be getting you a ton of rental leads and crap leads that you don't want, because Google's goal is to always spend that money. So Boomtown, Chime, Sierra is one of our favorites. Obviously, Sierra client, we've got a bunch of, we're preferred partner Sierra. They have a solution that isn't terrible for people that are starting out and they're trying things, but they will also be the first company and first person to tell you if you want to get a little bit more integrated in it, you want to do a little bit more deeper dive into it. A solution like what we have at Driven Leads is what people are going to want. And that solution, does come with a cost and does have its inherent value to specific clients. People that are well versed in generating leads or have a core focus on what they want to do. We go in, and at Driven Leads, we do a little bit deeper right out of the gate of getting with the client and figuring out, where do you want your leads, how do you want them, when do you want them, and why do you want them? So are we buying or selling? Are we looking for condos or single family homes? Are we looking for people that are relocating or people that live 5 to 7 miles away? So there's a ton of stuff that you don't get asked and you don't have that conversation with on the solutions that are just going to go out and generate you leads. We have that conversation.
Yeah. And then let me jump in right there for a second, because I think you hit the main point. And I think for kind of the novice people that are looking at this pay-per-click for the first time, what you're going to hear. So if I went to Sierra today, and I think Crystal is the one working for Sierra, and she'll do up to $2,000 for you for free, and then after that it's 10%. But if I went to Crystal today with Sierra and said, hey, help me generate some leads, she's going to kind of give me a very simple formula that it's like kind of a standard formula, and then it doesn't go past that.
Right.
And so, what Nick is going to do is you're kind of, I like what you were saying, like, are you looking for relocation leads, inside a market, buyer versus seller, and start to dig in at a higher level of consultation with you guys to figure out, how do we really build a much more dynamic environment. I think what I learned, Nick, is kind of the difference between the effort, right? Like, for you to do a bunch of custom ads for me, it's a lot more work.
Yeah, it can be. It is and it isn't. It's something that we do use our templates. We customize it per what the client wants and how they're looking. We're also going to use ad copy that we know is going to work properly. So we're gonna curtail that. Where, you know, I'm in the Midwest, we call ranch homes. In the Great Northwest, they call them ramblers. So
Yep.
even verbiage like that's going to be different from space to space. You know, a lot of people don't use the word townhomes; they just call everything condos in some areas
Yep.
of the country. So knowing that and having that sort of past knowledge of 10, 12 years of running Google and Microsoft traffic for real estate agents helps us understand the ins and outs and the verbiage on that. But then also knowing what to ask the client, because 9 times out of 10, when people are coming to us, they don't know the proper questions to ask, or they don't know what they should be asking, what they should be looking for. They'll come back and say, a lot of times you'll have some agents that'll come to us and say, hey, I'm getting leads from this source. I'd like to possibly, explore the opportunity working with you guys. I want more, how did they say this? I want richer clients. I want
More high end.
high-end homes. So, well, let's open that box and say, well, what are those neighborhoods? What are people looking for when they're looking at? Are they looking for 4 to 5 bedroom homes? Are they looking for 3 to 4 bathroom? Are they looking for a 3-stall garage? Are they looking for, what are some of those modifiers in that search that brings them the higher level homes, the more expensive homes, the higher price point, and then also going in there and getting rid of the ones that don't have that higher price point. That 9 times out of 10, we don't run any traffic for anything short sale and foreclosure. Even back when it was a real popular keyword term, we don't see the value in that for our clients if they're looking to get people in the lead system and then run them through that process. So really having those conversations, and that's a living, breathing thing. So your campaign isn't set up on day one and we never touch it again. Every week we're in there looking at it, modifying, making sure that stuff's running the way it's supposed to. And then the big kicker of us compared to the CRMs that run it is that monthly conversation. We want to have a monthly, if we have to have it every week when we're getting started, if we're testing new things, and we need to have those conversations to see what are you seeing and what are we seeing, and then how do we double our ROI? How do we double our conversion rate on that? Because ultimately, we know what our conversion rate on click to lead is going to be, but lead to close is the big thing, and that's sort of where we bridge that gap with our clients compared to other solutions. We're trying to figure out where that's coming from.
Yeah, I think that's a big distinction. I like the way that you said that, click to lead, right?
Mm-hmm.
Click to lead versus lead all the way to sale, or for real estate agents, it should be like, new lead into an appointment is probably a good milestone to be tracking.
Nobody likes to track that. They just like to track ROI, right?
Yeah, well, exactly.
But yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah. What's that number look like?
We should look at all of it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that brings up a really good point is, what do you see as the difference between, your most successful clients, like a Mike Novak, or kind of what their attitude, the way that they approach this game of online lead generation versus the thousands of agents who've all tried out pay-per-click leads,
right?
And we're like, those leads suck and they're terrible and blah, 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 and they just threw money out the door and wasted it. What would you say are some of the key things that you've noticed between the most successful versus the people that completely bombed it?
So the biggest thing is focus, and it's 100% focus. So we were working with Mike when he was a brand new agent and just starting out, and, really small budget. And the biggest thing that Mike did is he made his calls. He followed up, and just was relentless with that. And his budget grew from that, and his numbers grew from that. And he was focused on, and that's one thing that everybody will know if they know Mike, is he's a highly focused individual, and it's his competitiveness and focus. But he's never came to us and said, hey, these leads aren't great, or hey, these leads are weak, coining the phrase from Glengarry Glen Ross. It's not the leads are weak, it's the person calling them, it's the person following up, not doing their job. And then also keeping track of, what separates the good from the great is tracking everything, is tracking where are the best leads, where are all our closings coming from. So going back 6, 12, 18 months and saying, all of our deals that we got came from this source, and it came from not only this source, but this campaign, this ad group, this keyword, even if you wanted to. And knowing that we should show up number one every time for this specific keyword because it made us so much money over the last 18 to 24 months. There are agents out there and there's systems out there that are doing that. Now, we've got some larger teams that they have a marketing person that we work directly with that we're deciphering those numbers, and you don't have, you don't necessarily you're not talking to that broker, that team lead and having that conversation. Some of them love those numbers, but the difference that we see from the people that say, hey, these leads just aren't great, they didn't have a follow-up. They didn't have, they weren't doing a proper follow-up. They didn't have a drip campaign. When you ask them if they called, it gets quiet and they're like, well, I've been talking to my agents and they're calling them, but they say they're not great. Well, I can guarantee you that those people are most likely used to getting Zillow leads, and they're most likely used to, but now if you're paying an absorbent amount of money for that, yeah, you're stepping over dollars to pick up dimes, in my opinion. If you make those calls and do those follow-ups, you're taking a $10 to $15 lead and turn it into a $10, $20, $30,000 commission check. It's still a $10 lead. It's not 30% of that, right? Yeah. So that's a big thing, that the ones that we see, that the clients that we have that are making a good amount of money are doing that follow-up. And just
let me add a little coaching advice into what you just said, because it's 100% accurate, which is, if I were to summarize this for some of my clients, like I would say, hey, go use a Crystal at Sierra or a, Boomtown, whoever, for you to learn your follow-up system and your disciplines and get comfortable with the conversion workflow. And I think most agents don't approach it that way. They approach it kind of like a realtor.com lead or a Zillow lead, where they have a high expectation of conversion, right? And so once I get a pretty good follow-up system and I've got a good conversion workflow and it's making me profitable, then I want to come to someone like yourself and take this to the next level. Right. But I think a lot of people, they don't understand that it's more of a process. They just are like, give me some leads. I got some people on my team. I don't know that they'll make a call. Hopefully it'll all work out. Right. Give you some money and let's go. Right. Yep. So for guys, I think that's really, really important advice. Where when I talked to Mike Novak, I actually interviewed him at the end of last year. And I asked him, what is your conversion rate on your pay-per-click leads in this calendar year? And he knew his exact number. It was 2.5% conversion rate. And so what I also noticed is, he built really good conversion, then he scaled it up. Yep. Now he's completely tracking, as you were saying, right? Yep. And I also really love what you said too about kind of trying to understand where you have good conversion. I think that was a really brilliant thing that you said there. Like, I know for me, when I was really in the game in San Diego, I noticed that my relocation buyers were the ones who are going to spend on average $1 million. And they were the ones that I had the highest probability of converting. Yep. And so without that observation, if I would just keep buying regular deals, like, not going to work out. Right. I also noticed the opposite, Nick, which I noticed that I was trying to get in there's like one area called Carlsbad. Yep. I get a lot of these condo Carlsbad buyers. And I literally spent I think a year and a half, and I got a bunch of them in the car, showed them a ton of property, but they were all kind of in this 500 to 600 range. None of them bought. And so that would have been feedback that I could have come to you and said, hey, Nick, this just isn't working, right? Yeah. They all want to buy this thing, but it actually just doesn't seem to work out. So let's remove that out of my budget. Let's add more of this into the budget so I can increase my ROI. Yeah. I really like how you said that. That was really, I'm just reflecting back on all the mistakes that I recently made. Right.
Right. Yeah. There's gold out there. I mean, and the beauty in the technology that you have now with pay-per-click is that you can pick your adventure. You can choose which path you want to run, and you can say, okay, I know for a fact that I'm making money on people coming in. So we would do, a campaign like that is you could run, You could do a blackout in a 50-mile radius around San Diego if they're coming in from out of there. If you know what state they're coming from into San Diego, you could run traffic in New York City or Manhattan just for people looking for San Diego condos, or San Diego beach homes, and give them exactly what they're looking for. And you're going to have a lot, that lead might be a $20 lead over top of a $10 lead, but then you're also talking about a $3 million sale over top of a $500,000 to $600,000 sale, right? So when the agents that do and the brokers that do really well with us are the ones that know that. They know, hey, I want this traffic coming from here and here. And we've got people in Florida and Arizona that will choose the seasons. They know when people from the Midwest, like where I'm at, when it gets cold and you're starting to see the cold come in, you're like, I need to buy a house down south this year. They'll run traffic for that. And they'll be that first point of contact because they don't have an agent down there. They don't have a friend down there. They're not familiar with the area. And those are leads that they really like. And when you know that lead's coming in, because you can tag these, we can tag these as person from Iowa looking to buy in Fort Myers. That's where my parents went. And they could find that. They could have that open conversation, say, I just worked with somebody from your area here and here, and automatically you've got that connection with that lead. That can all be done real easy with pay-per-click.
And I think it wasn't until, I started getting into studying what the capabilities were, with Google, advertising platform, that I realized all that stuff. And I think, it's clear that's the main difference. If I'm just going to go with a templated digital marketer, low cost with the CRM company that I'm using versus coming to you as a top expert, like it's really about the customization. It's really about, getting feedback, testing, trying until you can figure out a really high profitable formula is basically what I'm hearing.
Yep.
What would you say is the, kind of average budget that someone that you're working with, kind of where's the average? How much money are they spending per month?
We'll usually have clients that will run around 1,000 and go all the way up to 50, 60,000 per month. We have the lion's share of our clients and we have some that start at 500 and just say, hey, we know what we want. We know what we're doing. We want to get into the game and get started. So, you're looking at even at $600, you're looking at $20 a day is what you're trying to run, trying to get a couple of leads. We usually tell people, if you started at 1,000, and I think that's where Mike started at, it was like $1,000 or $600, and then just sort of ramped it up as he was tracking through. I would guess our average, if I went and looked at it, would probably be about 2,500 to 2,000 is what they're spending.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you can make ROI. That's another thing is that, so Mike knows his numbers. His numbers actually jump if you go push him back to 18 months for his PPC, and he tracks that. Like every once in a while, I'll get a message saying, hey, I closed somebody from 18 months ago or 24 months ago.
Yes.
That just went to 3.5%, 4.5%. So those numbers are outlandish when you look at it. Everybody looks at what are you doing for me now? And he looks at it and puts it in the proper funnel. Like we tell clients, if a good DMARC to figure out if pay-per-click is good for you is to look at it and say, if it's costing me $1,500 to generate 100 leads and I get one deal out of that, is your ROI positive? And then, expand from that. The beauty in that is if you can figure out how to do 1%, which most of the times is just getting out of bed, grabbing a coffee and making a few phone calls. It's not that tough. You can get to 2 to 3%. That's all pure profit on top of what your costs don't go up. You're just honing your system in. And that's where we have, our clients that have been with us for 7, 8 years, that's what they've done is they've figured out, what's that formula and what's that look like?
Yeah, I would say it's a super key distinction is the conversion rate within 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the conversion rate within 2 years. And I have converted pay-per-click leads that were 3 years old. And what I think most agents don't understand is that stuff stacks, right?
Yep.
So in your first year of pay-per-click, let's say you generated 50 leads a month and you had a reasonable conversion. The goal would just be profitable.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But then in the second year, you're going to have conversion from year one.
Yep.
Your systems are going to get way better. Maybe you scaled up to 100 leads per month. Now, all of a sudden, instead of it being like you doubled your production. It's like you did like 2.5% more.
Yep.
And then in year 3, you now have year 1 conversion, year 2 conversion, and year 3 conversion if you do this thing right.
Yep.
And, you know, I don't think I told you, Nick, but, you know, one of my, you know, my Tom Ferry coach, Mr. Fred Doliak, who's a rock star, like he built up a website CRM combo of 100,000 leads, and he had a 1% conversion rate, and then he sold it.
Yeah.
Congratulations, retired.
Yeah.
Right. See, that's a different mindset. And I love, you know, when I talked to Mike Novak on that interview that I did, guys, check that out. If you just go into my channel, check it out. But, you know, that's kind of, he's like, hey, I'm just working the database. He's like, I got 60,000 in the database and I'm working my butt off to, you know, to convert as much as I can. And so I think there's a little bit of long-term, short-term, it's optimized with Nick, lots of feedback, build your conversion model, and then start looking at what the long-term play is.
Yep.
And how this thing can play out for you.
Branding. Yeah. Once you get that database, it's branding, it's remarketing, retargeting, it's display ads, it's YouTube, it's, you know, even dipping into Facebook, it's going out into Microsoft and looking at that demographic.
Yep.
Because it's a distinct older demographic that has money, you know, maybe it's a buy sell on that. So yeah, there's a ton of different things you can do. And that's one thing we're trying to get better at Driven Leads, is talking to our clients about that, saying, okay, you're upping your budget. Now, if you up your budget from 2,500 to 5,000 a month, let's take 500 of that and do display or do some YouTube, and make sure that when people come in and, you know, sign up with you or finally reach out to you, say, I see your stuff everywhere and I've watched your videos. Like Mike's doing a buyer video program right now that he said, I'm getting so many people coming in that have already watched my program, my 4-step program for videos. We don't have to go through that. And they already know, like, and trust us. They're ready to go. And that is wildly invaluable. You can't put a value on that because it keeps expanding. So you go from that to starting to branding to, I mean, dominating your market like he's doing.
Yeah. I think it's funny is, and I think we talked about this, but, you know, I worked with Mike in the second 6 months, and we actually built his, you know, video campaign.
Yep.
You know, but I would, you know, just urge everybody that the video branding, video education and video branding increases the conversion rate. And so if you can do some retargeting and if you can use that in your email, it would make, and do it in social, you know, retargeting on Facebook, that stuff makes a huge difference. Right. As we take the cold traffic and turn them into warm with you, that's a huge play, super important in the process. Nick, I got to jump, man, but thank you so much for your time. You guys contact Nick if you really want to dig deep into how to make pay-per-click work for you, how to scale and grow your database and do it intelligently when you're ready to go to the next level. Nick, thanks so much for your time and your insight and wisdom, and look forward to catching up with you very soon, my friend.
Looking forward to it, Patrick. I appreciate it, man.
Got it.